These images were generated by AI. These images are not AI. Which are more meaningful? Artificial intelligence generative art was released to the world in early 2023 from tech pioneers DALL-E 2, Midjourney, and Stable Fusion, to name a few. By the summer of that year, the AI art generators were producing some very convincing human images. AI had learned composition, lighting, shadow, focal length, aperture, and how to present human hair and skin in a reasonably believable fashion. However, it continues to suffer with problems rendering fingers on hands. Looking at these AI-generated photos with finger and thumb anomalies, respectively, one has to admit that when looking at the whole picture, few people are actually focused on what the hands look like. While AI was able to get skin color and lighting correct, it had a problem with detail. In this AI fantasy photo, the water looks more like melted wax than a smooth, flowing liquid. Looking at the skin of the mid-2023 AI art renditions shows a very plastic, fake, and blemish-free skin texture. It's like looking at a picture of a plastic toy doll. Skin on real people rarely looks this perfect. Compare that to actual pictures of real skin from photos of real people with real lighting, shows just how far AI still had to go to create pictures of people that are indistinguishable from experienced reality. It didn't take long though. Through various plugins available with Stable Fusion, skin pores, wrinkles, and blemishes can be added with increasingly greater detail, thus creating images that are now nearly indistinguishable from reality, except for those darn fingers. But what is reality? At the quantum level, which is sizes smaller than atoms, what we consider to be solid physical reality is mostly empty space. Atoms aren't even solid. They are cyclical energy waveforms of probability made up of empty space. Atoms manifest as point particles merely by the act of a conscious entity observing them, at which point they freeze into a form. But that is all an illusion, similar to a hologram. As literal photon detectors, cameras do capture and freeze the position of light particles, the positions of which are smeared out over space and time as waves of probability. Focus forces these smeared out photons into a point in space and time as focus is increased, but that collection of data does not manifest as a picture until it is brought into sharp focus and consciously observed. The following photos are images I have captured personally over the past 20 years. These photos are not AI. As photographers, we know the importance of capturing moments and the importance of having a camera nearby wherever we go if a fleeting moment should happen to present itself. Here's a picture of our old municipal water tower set against the backdrop of a sunset. This image illustrates the synchronicity of the events as the water tower's existence approaches its ultimate end as the day it exists in also comes to an end. AI can't think this stuff up. It relies on a human to experience the moment and ultimately capture it on camera. Experience is ultimately the reason for life. Since we don't actually physically exist, everything in our lives is an experience. As we move from one experience to the next, the past experiences get logged into our memory in the same way as a dream. We conscious sentient beings can capture moments in time that are significant and out of the ordinary. Here, a nearly dry lake bed is being prepared with overturned tree roots to shelter the fish when it is ultimately refilled. This halo effect around a full moon creates the image of an eye in the clouds surrounding it. Sorry about the motion blur. Now, speaking of once-in-a-lifetime experiences captured with a camera, I was at a truck pull event in northern Maine in the summer of 2014 when a brief rain shower passed. I grabbed my camera and hurried to get a picture of the rainbow before it faded out. Sometimes there is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. After I loaded this image on the computer and examined it more closely, I noticed the nickname of the truck at the end of the rainbow: Fool's Gold. Maybe AI can recreate that, but only a conscious human can experience it and understand the significance of the two subjects in the frame. Photos of our experiences are snapshots in time, which can stir up emotions. I happened to be at the right place at the right time when I got this picture of a church with ominous clouds rolling into the background as the sun briefly peeked out through the clouds. This illustrates why it is so important to have a nice camera nearby. Cell phones are nice in a pinch, but I personally don't consider them real cameras. I think of cell phones as the old disposable film cameras. But that's my opinion. I digress. Humans are able to experience the world in places AI is unable to go. These experiences often have significance as only a conscious being can understand. With large groups, such as this parade photo, there are literally hundreds of individual experiences being cataloged in the minds of the plethora of observers. Every set of eyeballs is a 3D camera, and the perceptions and experiences are nearly limitless among that group. Some of the most benign photos can be the most dramatic, as they capture the feel and unique experience of a perspective that is off the well-worn path, only happening once in a lifetime, and perhaps never again. Here we have real firefighters fighting a real fire. Since I was shooting at 55mm, you can imagine I was not too far away from the action. As I walked through the tree line of that area, I came upon a propane tank that was leaking propane with a nice flame coming out the top of it. I realized then that I didn't have health insurance and hastily snapped a photo to capture the moment and got out of there as quickly as I could. What an experience. I submitted the photo to my Shutterstock account and they failed it because it had soft focus. Sorry, Shutterstock, I am not going back to that scene and framing up the shot for better focus. In fact, focus wasn't really on my mind, being only about 25 feet away from that burning propane tank. Here's another real-life event where an electrical power pole with massive transformers on top of it rotted out at its base and came crashing to the ground. Video surveillance of the area showed a person walking past the crash area only seconds before the pole came to the ground. I guess it wasn't his time. Again, while AI might be able to recreate these images with flawless specs, it cannot have the experience of being there and understanding the danger associated with them. Not all experiences we collect in a lifetime are filled with fear and danger. Many are just fondly remembered moments, pockmarked occasionally with adversity. For example, Here's what a burned out wind turbine looks like after the smoke clears. Photographs can bring detail to life that we often don't see when walking by. While a clock on a mountaintop can be done by AI quite easily, AI cannot have the experience of a person actually conceiving the idea to illustrate gravitational time dilation, then taking an actual clock to the top of a mountain for the picture. Subtleties are the spice of life. As human creators, we have limitless ideas which AI can only plagiarize from, coming up with nothing unique of its own. Here, I have removed that annoying tone dinger from my pickup truck and did the world a favor by smashing it into 1,000 pieces so it could never annoy anyone again. AI can't comprehend the significance of this photo, but anyone who has a dinger in their automobile surely can. Images of food conjure up a whole new set of emotion with humans as they can perceive and remember taste, smell, and texture, something that does not exist in the world of AI. Yes, these hot dogs are red. I think it's something we do only here in the Northeast. A friend of mine who moved here from Chicago lived his whole life up to that point thinking all hot dogs were brown. Food experiences are as diverse as there are tastes in people. Again, something AI can never capture. Finally, people are the most interesting subjects of all. When taking a picture of people, there is both the experience of the photographer and the subject that are encapsulated in that image. These aren't just moments frozen in time, but something that doesn't exist in the picture's metadata, and that is the experiences. In order to get real pictures in the real world, time has to be invested and experiences are collected along the way, as both the photographer and subject work together to achieve a shared goal. Here is a photo done with blacklight fluorescent photography. There is a lot of work involved here with stenciling of the fluorescent paint, dressing the scene, setting the lighting, and capturing the image. Perhaps AI can do it with a few clicks, but the experience of going through all that preparation is part of the photo, and experience is the whole point. There's nothing like standing on the root system of a 250-year-old cedar tree that looks like it came out of a Lord of the Rings movie. These roots are not CGI or AI. They exist now, and I can take you to them. That is the difference between AI and real photos. The emotional experience of a photo can be enhanced with negative space, either inside or outside. Here, my model is standing amidst a wild fern garden behind my house. Yes, the ferns really do grow that big if they're left alone. With something as simple as a speed light in a reflector and a 10-degree honeycomb lens, one can imitate moonlight and create surreal images. While AI can also do this, the whole point of life can only be obtained by living it. That is, the experience. And that is what we should all focus on as we go through our limited number of days in this particular realm.